Alright, I'll continue here. Realizing that he was really going to fulfill Koran 9:38, 39, 111 to the max, the great anger at himself left him, as it was replaced with a sense of extreme freedom and happiness. I want the best ham in town. He smiled with a devilish gleam in his eyes. I want to gamble, screw, get drunk on the finest tequila. I want 5 margaritas. I just want a little of Allah's paradise first, damn it. Mr. Rahman laughed, slammed on the brakes, and headed back to Reno. 2 hours later, after speeding close to 100 miles per hour, feeling free to pay any speeding ticket he might be written up with, he was eating the finest ham in town, even though Sparks was not a very big town. Mr. Rahman thought the ham was pretty good, but he was really looking forward to the ribs that were crispy on the outside and tender near the bone. As he ate them, he fought back memories of the pig being slaughtered on live leak so he wouldn't cry, and he nearly ate the bones. Yeah, he nearly ate the bones. Mr. Rahman leaned back with a look of ecstasy on his face, grease dripping down the sides of his mouth. He looked as if he was about to pass out in Jannah paradise, for he missed them that much. The pig is sure one tasty beast, he told himself, looking up at the ceiling as if viewing heaven. Okay, this next story I'm about to read is called LSD Girl. Another hour later, after putting the dog in an overnight kennel, Mr. Rahman was in one of Reno's casinos. A cigarette was in one hand, a scotch on the rocks in another. He wasn't winning a single buck, but he was enjoying every minute of it. When the scotch started making him stupid, he was walking about the casino strips. He went into a nudie bar and saw one of the girls who looked very much like a young girl at a local health food store he'd frequent a lot just to see her working retail. The girl strutted her stuff that made him think Allah really actually might be Akbar for making a creature as pretty as she was. He slammed down a 20 to her and said, "I'm going to get 72 of you soon." And he walked out the door. Mr. Rahman almost went to his car, but suddenly stopped in horror when he realized if he was pulled over for drunk driving, the bomb he made might be discovered, and if so, it would be eternal damnation in hell. It'd be in fire for eating pork and dying without killing any non-Muslims. With horror, Mr. Rahman decided to spend the night at the pepper mill and dry out first before making his way back to the Black Rock Desert. After eating at the fast food joint and not caring if the French fries had pig grease in them, he decided to walk it off and met a young girl who was selling strips of paper that had pictures of flowers on them. "What's this?" he asked the girl. "LSD," smiled the girl in a whisper. "LSD?" asked Rahman. "You sure?" The girl looked about to see if there were any cops and nodded for yes. "Man, I thought the 60s were long over," laughed Rahman. "How do I know that if I gave you, say, $20, it would turn out to be just paper?" The girl quit smiling and said, "Hold it in your hands a few minutes. If you notice anything Hold it in your hands a few minutes. If you notice anything, you will know I'm not lying. It's pretty strong stuff. How strong? The girl rocked about on her feet and said with a glint in her eyes, enough to see the spirit world. Realizing that his money was going to be worthless when he got the virgins, Rahman said, how much? 24 for your trip, but don't give me the 20 yet. Don't give me the 20 here. How about in that store over there? How much are you, yummy girl? I can marry you and divorce you here, and you look like you would be worth it. And you look like you would be worth it. You look like you'd be well worth it. Oh, I'm certainly worth it. Do you have 300 on you? Rahman thought and then said, I can get that. When they went to the store to make the dope deal, Rahman thought of Koran 424. Not only did it allow Muslims to rape married women, but it allowed for prostitution by paying the lady. It was prostitution for after having sex with the girl who you bought for marriage, you could say, I divorce you 3 times where the marriage would be annulled, allowing the Muslim man to move on and quote, marry, unquote, the next little girl. But since he didn't trust the girl, feeling he might end up getting beaten up and robbed by the worst of creatures, the worst of creation, he thought of the virgins he would get when he detonated his car with himself inside it and said, I'll have 72 of you soon. I know it. I know I will. And Mr. Rahman went back to the pepper mill to spend a lonely night by himself. Mr. Rahman walked into his room and was still thinking. Mr. Rahman walked into his room still thinking about the LSD girl. She was perfection. She was perfect in his eyes that she was so perfect in his eyes that he felt he might want to risk getting beaten up to see if he could possibly invite her. Risk getting beaten up to see if he could possibly invite her to his room. Although the rape of non-Muslims was perfectly allowed with the first part of Quran 424, especially when reported handed down in Sunan Abu Dawud 220 and 50, there was something about that girl that would make it so he wanted to be gentle with her. Mr. Rahman looked out of the penthouse window and looked north to see if he could actually see the Black Rock Desert from the window, but the building wasn't high enough. Rahman was just about to put the strip of LSD laced paper on his tongue, but then he remembered a friend's uncle who took LSD and ended up thinking the CIA was stuffed up in the attic spying on him. That after taking LSD, the uncle of his friend was never the same, as he then thought it was that he was the most important man on the planet. Of course, there were others he knew who took LSD and nothing bad happened to them, that he could tell. But what if he was like the uncle of his friend? Quote, taking LSD is like pouring Coke on your computer and seeing pretty colors, he remembered his dad telling him. You might see trippy colors on your view screen, but you don't know what damage you might have done to your computer, which is your brain. Rahman doubted that he'd be jumping off the roof of the pepper mill thinking he could fly, but what if it made him act so insane that his car was checked out, finding the bomb? Then he'd be in hellfire for eating pork and not killing non-Muslims in all his cause. Due to such a fear of that happening, Mr. Rahman put the little square piece of paper into his wallet. Maybe I can take it 10 minutes before I enter the casino in my car, he wondered. Realizing that the LSD might make him nuts to the point where he wouldn't drive the bomb-carrying car into a casino, but something that might get him just arrested and again sent him to hell for eating pork. He felt now that the strip of LSD paper would now never be used. "It might make me insane so I don't blow myself up in that casino," said Rahman as he looked at himself in the living room mirror of the hotel room. At the pepper mill, Mr. Rahman had the time of his life swimming in a heated outdoor pool under a moon that was almost full. As some young, pretty, bikini-clad girls, as pretty as the LSD girls, splashed about him, he discovered that the pepper mill had a tropical rainforest cafe that was all you can eat. Although he was still kind of full from already eating, he got out of the pool and headed for the buffet when he discovered they had pork roast in there. Allah forgive me. Allah forgive me, he said as he gorged on the tastiest pork roast he ever ate. "I swear I shall pay you back next week in that casino. I swear it," Mr. Rahman said to himself while looking up. Yeah, I better stop it here.